Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is...
I'm Brian. This week, David, how you doing?
Yeah, we don't have Galadriel.
No, that was B-Leg.
B-Leg
Yeah,
Galadriel.
B-Leg's not here anymore. Well, I don't know if that was the correct pronunciation, but we're back not doing B-Leg anymore.
No.
I'm Brian this time, and this time we've watched what David will be mad if I say a failing fantasy show.
Oh, man.
We watched Wheel of Time. This is kind of cool because this is where they put all their VFX budget into, like the set design.
I mean,
What do you think about that, David?
I mean, they do need some VFX and set design, but they really need VFX in their magic, and unfortunately it is lacking. Brian, overall thoughts on Season 2 of The Time of Wheels?
Oh boy. I don't remember what I gave this show the first season. I would imagine it wasn't a very glowing review. I would imagine it was probably middle of the road. Well, that season I do think was worse than this new season. I still do not love the Wheel of Time Season 2. What I've learned from watching Season 1 and Season 2 is I want to just read the books rather than watch the show. I feel like I feel like I'm being served slop. And the slop is like, it's like decent slop, but like it's still just not good at all. I'm going to give this show a 5.5 out of 10. I don't really understand what's going on most of the time. You got to really pay attention to what's going on. There's so many different moving parts. It's all complicated. It seems like they're getting more and more complex. I don't understand how strong some of these characters are. We mentioned, or I don't know if this was on podcast or not, but Ken, the sword guy. Is that one of? What's the sword guy's name?
Lan?
I knew it was something like that. He's supposed to be like the best sword fighter in like all of fantasy, like not even Wheel of Time, but like across like all of fantasy books. Why does this guy get so weak to like these three faceless like monster things in like episode 2 or 3? He like he almost died to like are those super strong? What are those things? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the fades. They're some of the scary like standing up against one is like a near impossible feat.
Okay. So like that. So if we take these fades and like pit them against like any other swordsman in all of fantasy, they would also destroy him, or is he like lacking power now or something?
I mean, like
he's constantly training in the show. Like if he's on screen, it's like he's training, and then the first fight he gets into, he just loses.
Well, I mean, the fades are supernatural creatures, and like they can be invisible, like more or less. I mean, they can come out of nowhere and surprise you. So normally when you're fighting, when you're sword fighting, you see the person coming at you. Fades can just like come out of the shadows and just like be there.
They fade in.
Yeah, I mean that's they can they can fade in, and so they are supernatural creatures. I mean, and they also like it's just nothing really translates super well in the show because there's not enough episodes, and then they also waste time with stuff that didn't happen in the books instead of like bringing up stuff that actually did happen in the books to flesh out the plot, because I think Rafe Judkins is a very terrible showrunner.
He said it.
yeah, and I stand by that. As you heard last week in our Synthaholic Games, I have very low opinions of Rafe Judkins, and I'm so happy Ronald D. Moore is taking over the God of War show, because God of War.
That's
last week. Brian, that's last week.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just going to keep going with that.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's last week's material. I'm just saying you'll have heard me say it last week on Synthaholic Games that I think he's a bad showrunner. Because I'm saying it now too, because I do think he's a bad showrunner here. So I'm glad he's not doing God of War, because his ability to adapt things is lacking, to say the least, because he just makes up stuff.
Well, we can definitely agree that the writing's better than Rings of Power.
Oh yeah, I mean this show. I should give my ratings. I'm going to stand by my rating from season 1. I like the season much better than season 1, but it's still a very, very bad adaptation of Wheel of Time from a story standpoint. And so I'm going to stand by my rating. Last time I gave it like I think a 7.5, and I'm going to stand by that rating from last time. I do like this season much better than
It's
season
definitely
one.
better.
It's much more watchable season of television. But good God, he still cannot like translate the stuff very well. And there is a couple parts that were kind of a little bit better than the book, especially stuff with good old Egwene here. Man,
Yep.
she goes to the ringer this season, and for me, that's what made this season so much better than
Wait,
House
so
of.
that's not in the book?
No, it is in the book, but the way it ends is a little bit different.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I feel like they go more. I feel like it wasn't as long in the book where she was like stuck.
Stuck trying to get a cup, trying to touch the cup.
Yeah, I mean the whole situation. I mean, she does get collared in the books, but the whole situation's a little bit different. I mean, there's probably some sort of test that's similar, and she doesn't kill her Damane. Um, at
Is
the
that
end,
that's the woman on the left there, or your right, or whatever?
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Or her the yeah. So she didn't.
That's what her name is.
No, it's what the relationship's called, the the Soldam and the Damani. Um,
It sounds like you're saying like dominant mommy.
Dominant mommy. Yeah, she is a dominant mommy to to Egwene. It's supposed to be
Makes sense.
watchable. But I think we talked about this a little bit last time, as far as on the main Synthaholics, House of the Dragon and um, Rings of Power season 2 had this massive budget, and I feel like this show needs that kind of budget way more than the other two shows, because this show has so much magic and so many fantastical set pieces. I mean, it's not that like Lord of the Rings doesn't, but this one, this setting is so much more high magic and so much
Well, that's the
more
problem. This
great.
show's high magic. The Wheel of Time is high magic. The other shows we've talked about so far this year, and I'm sure in the past too, are generally kind of low magic. Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth is low magic, so you don't need crazy VFX. Even though the Rings of Power show has like the budget of like $40 million an episode or something, probably crazy. I don't know
Yeah.
what the budget is for this show, but it's also the viewership of this show is not it's not good, man. It's not good. They won't even publish the numbers. It's so low. So I don't know what it is. So I think getting a new budget's gonna be pretty difficult. It's kind of weird when anytime they use magic, the magic in this show is like a string, well, like a flow
Threads.
of like water or
I
whatever.
mean, like they are described as threads in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, but
So
like
I
that's it.
but
That's the it's like anytime anything happens, it's just like that's it.
at least season 2 we get different color threads for the
Yes, we
different
have.
parts of
They're
the one
different.
power, whereas in season 1 it was just white the
If
entire
it's
time. It
red,
was
they're
just,
doing a firepower. If it's green, they're healing. If
I
it's
mean, at least they're trying to make them look different. As the everything being white in season 1 was really annoying. I'm like, this is like, I mean, it's kind of how it's described, but you should know what power is being, because the people wielding the power know what power is being wielded. We should, if we're
yeah,
able
I
to
think
see it as
it's
the audience, I want to know what's happening.
yeah, it's a liberty I think they have to take from the book and just like put it in the show so it's easier to understand what's going on. Because if the book doesn't explain exactly what it looks like or exactly how it's working or whatever, you have to take some liberties to bring it to a screen for people to
Well,
watch.
the book does explain it. The show just
Oh, it does?
doesn't. The show
Okay,
just doesn't.
what is it supposed to be then?
It's supposed to look like strings,
Well, it does look like
threads.
strings, but if are they all just white strings in
No, I mean,
in
like
the book?
in the book, you can tell what is being channeled. So they got
Okay.
it closer to being right in season 2. But the problem is
Okay.
with the show is that remember the first episode where they're like standing around the table and telling them to like make a strainer out of the one power so you don't have to
Yes.
drink nasty things. That was the first time in the entire show where they explained the different
How it works.
types of the powers. The fire, water, air, spirit. Like they didn't explain. I don't remember them explaining that at all in season 1. So basically, you have to get all the way to the second season before they even start trying to explain the one power. They still haven't really explained the
Great timing.
Sidene. They haven't really explained either the Sidene and the Sidar, which is the female half of the one power and the male half of the one power. They haven't really explained that really either. So the show, and we're 2 seasons in, and they haven't. I don't think they've mentioned the halves of the One Power at all. But props where props is due. At least they did bring up Teleran, which is the world of
Hmm.
dreams, which is hugely important for the rest of the series. Like the world of dreams is massive, and I'm
That's a
glad
place we're going to be visiting a lot.
we're gonna be visiting that a lot if the show continues. The world of dreams is massive for the plot of Wheel of Time.
So tell me about Moraine here, because in the first season, she's a big deal. She's in every episode. She loses her powers, and it seems like her whole goal of season 2 is she's not really in season 2 a whole lot till
Well, she's
the
in
end.
season 2 a lot more than she should have been, based on the books.
That's where I'm getting to. She's definitely doesn't have as big a role in season 2 as she did in season 1, even though she's still on like the main character on the poster and all that stuff. But from my understanding, she's kind of like supposed to not really be around at all. Isn't she gone to? She's like gone to like book 5 or something, isn't she?
No, she's just like not very much in the second book. She starts showing back up more in the third and fourth book, and then around book
Okay.
5, and then it's around book 5 or 6, she like disappears for like 5 whole books,
Okay.
and she comes
So-
back. She comes back around book 11, I think. It's a while. It's a long time.
So that I guess it kind of works for the books then, because she definitely doesn't have as big a role in this. They're not just gonna fire her. They're not gonna. She's
Well,
like the main.
They shouldn't
main
fire her,
person.
but they also shouldn't have cast as big a character, as big an actor in a role that's not,
Is she though?
one of the
Is
big.
she that big of an actor?
I mean, compared to everyone else in the show.
That's true. Okay,
So-
I'll give
so-
you. I'll give you that. She's not that big of a actress. I will say, even though the show hasn't influenced me enough, where when I see her, I think, oh, that's the Wheel of Time girl. Every time I see her, I think that's the Gone girl from a movie Gone Girl. That's
Yeah.
where I see. That's where I keep seeing her from. She hasn't been converted to the Wheel of Time person.
I've not seen Gone Girl, so I cannot speak to that. I
Yeah.
just know her as the Wheel of Time girl. Like none of the other characters I recognize except for Rand, who was in the Gran Turismo movie as the asshole driver.
What? Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, Rand.
Oh man, I didn't put that two together. When I see that guy, I think Rand. That's the Rand guy.
yeah. Rand was one of the asshole drivers who had like the super nice car and
Yeah.
in
I
Gran
remember
Turismo.
that now. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's oh man, it's the Wheel of Time. It all like circles
It
back.
circles back. Yeah, it's what happens.
It's like the whole show. It's just circling back on each other.
But yeah,
Now,
back to,
what do you think on the gold the lady you told me the name of her? I still can't remember the name of her. The gold mask woman.
the lady, she's one of the Shan Chan lieutenants.
This
lady.
storyline by far is this story her storyline and her like the people she's working with and all that. This is the only reason why I can pass this show. I really enjoyed like her whole arc of like just going into a village, kind of raiding it, gets in trouble for raiding it. She's working with that. I'm assuming is the main antagonist guy.
Ishamael? You mean the guy who dies at the end? He's not the main antagonist.
I thought he was the main antagonist the whole
he's-
time.
He's one of the he's one of the Forsaken.
Okay, he's not the main guy. Well, because he was like the main bad guy in the first season.
Well, yeah, but he was also the one who was like kind of like the one who was nearest to being free. What happened
Who's
at
the
the
bad
end?
guy then?
The bad guy is the dark one, who's like basically Satan of the world, like the big bad.
They haven't really shown him then.
No, I mean you don't really see him until like the very end. He's kind of like
Yeah, but for people who haven't read the book, you need to like establish something for me, because when he died at the end, I was like, what the he was like when he was getting like chained down or whatever by the weaves. In my head, I'm like, oh, he's like the the plot armor guy. He can't. There's no way he's gonna. And then he dies.
yeah. he
So I was
dies.
like, okay, who's the? I thought it ends on to me it ends on a cliffhanger, because I was like, well, he's got to come back now because he's like the main bad guy with
No,
the.
the cliffhanger is that there's 13 Forsaken. Actually, there's not going to be 13 in the show. They cut that number down
The 3.
to like 7 or 8 or something like that. But the cliffhanger is whenever Lanfear goes back and she gets stopped by Mogadine, and Mogadine's like, "Yeah, don't go see
You are
them."
okay. Hold on. Who's Mogadine? You gotta
Mogadine,
explain what they look
she's
like.
the Spider Girl. She had the spider
Okay.
powers.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. She's the one that last episode, for the
She's
zero people
Stinger.
who watched this show. She's the one that she's the one they're in like a dark room, and at the end she
Yeah,
puts like a spider web around the who I also thought is the main bad villain, and that was pretty cool. I'm
when,
getting tongue twisted because I want to get to like how cool her magic was. Because it was like she got like caught in this like spider thing where if she moved, it seemingly acted like a lightsaber, where it just kind of like would cut something off of her. I thought that was kind of cool magic. A lot of this, I think, a lot of the magic in this show is not like, it's not your standard like I'm just gonna shoot a fireball at you. A lot of it is like with the picture behind you. It's like you can't touch the cup until you truly believe that you're not gonna hurt me with it, or this type of the spider web magic. So I haven't seen these types of magic anywhere before, or the use of magic hasn't been really used anywhere before, which I thought was pretty cool.
I mean, the way the magic works in this show, and well, in the series, the Wheel of Time, the books, like it's so cool. It's a super in depth magic system, and you should absolutely read the book. Like this show is slop compared to the book, like you said.
It feels like slop.
But I just love the Wheel of Time so much. I'm happy to see it translated a little bit. Like season 1 was okay. Season 2 was better as TV. They both suck as translations of the source material. They kind of feel like fanfic in a way, which is just kind of like.
To me, it feels like a YouTube like fan film. This is what the show feels like to me. It kind of feels like a YouTube fan
I feel like
film.
a YouTube fan film would be would be truer to the source material though, because they would give a shit.
Probably.
Because it feels like Rafe Judkins just doesn't give a shit sometimes. I'm just like, what are you doing, man?
Well,
because Moraine isn't a huge character in the second book. I mean, she's important. She's an important character in the series, but she's not one of the main characters. The main characters are Matt, Perrin, Rand, Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine, Avon Deha, and you know, those are your main guy. And then the Forsaken. You've got Lanfear, Mogadine, and a bunch of others that are big characters. And then everyone else is like kind of a minor character. I mean, we meet Elaine's mother, the actual Queen of Andor later on. I mean, we were supposed to meet Elaine last season. Well, because they weren't supposed to have.
Wait, hold on. Which one's Elaine? Is that?
Elaine is the rich girl who moves in right next to Egwene.
Okay,
remember, I'm with you. I'm
with you.
She's like, oh, you haven't gotten to decorate your apartment yet.
It was like a joke that she's poor.
Oh yeah, it's like no, yeah, I'm poor from a poor village, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't moved in yet either, and it's just all she has in like a room is just a bed, and she's like moving in like 75 suitcases worth of stuff.
Yeah, she's like, because she's the princess. The daughter heir.
Yes. All right, I'm caught up.
Elaine we were supposed to meet in the first season, along with her brothers, who are also kind of important characters, who are kind of assholes, but you know, what else?
Okay. So season 1 is book 1, and then season 2 is book 1, 2, and 3.
Is kind of book 2.
Not totally, but like we're picking and choosing.
Kind of, yes. And for me, like, they're kind of like, it's weird.
Dang, we're already 3 books into this. We're only gonna need we're only gonna need 3 more seasons to finish the whole series.
Good guy, probably the way it's going, he's just smashing everything together.
They're trying to milk out. Do you think it's gonna get canceled?
I don't think it's going to make the entire run. No, unless it is only a 5-season show. Like if they condense 15 books into 5 seasons, yeah, kind of. But
that'd be pretty rough.
Hey, I mean, it's already rough.
They're long books too. I mean, some of them are pretty long.
Yeah, like it's rough. It's really rough. If you want to read the books, I should maybe go back through them in audiobook form, and then maybe we could talk about them properly. And you'd be like, "Oh my god, this is so much better than like the slop TV show."
Well, that's really all this show's making me want to do. Well, I'm not super invested into the show as much as you are, but I don't want to discount that you've read the book, so you're gonna be more interested in the show than I am. I was thinking if I'm watching this and I feel like I'm missing, like, this is supposed to be one of the greatest fantasy series of all time, next to like, you know, Lord of the Rings or anything like that. But it just doesn't have the mainstream popularity that Middle Earth has, because those movies is what did it for Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Wheel of Time doesn't have anything like that.
This show doesn't have the budget that that it
No, but
needs,
well,
and the writing isn't as good. I mean, like it's taking stuff from the
yeah, the
show, but
writing is
he's
not
also
good.
making up so much stuff. Like Moraine, so all the stuff with her sister they made up, which wasn't as bad for me this season because at least it's like made up around an important character. Whereas like season one, we had like the two episodes of the Warders that had nothing to do with the rest of them. Like, why are we focusing on two characters that don't matter? Like, at least Moraine's sister matters because it's involving Moraine. And I'm like, okay, I don't like it, but it's better than what they did in season one.
Sure.
At least they're wasting time with a main character with stuff that didn't happen versus characters that mean nothing.
Yeah. Sure.
So I get that, but I mean, like this season just hits so much harder on an emotional level than anything in House of the Dragon did, and anything,
Especially with this cup girl.
well, the cup girl, even like the Genevieve when she went through the arches, that like was a punch to the gut.
Yeah, that was.
I mean,
if they were, if they just took like some of these like scenes or sequences, because they don't all happen all at once. But like, if you take this, God, what's the cup girl's name again?
I don't remember her name specifically, but
It's like
she's one of the Shan Chan. She's one of the Shan Chan. I don't.
No,
remember
not her. The other one. The
her.
Whatever. No, not her. Not her. The other one. The Indian one. This. Oh, I'm not. Whatever.
Egwene. Well,
Egwene.
That's also another problem. Like two, like back from season one, the two rivers shouldn't be nearly that culturally diverse. They're a hick town in the middle of nowhere. The only person who was supposed to look different was Rand because he's an Ailman.
To me that just tells me that's definitely a choice they're making because it's very apparent like when there's different like races of people. That's like that happens in the show a lot.
Yeah.
But if you were to just take the sequence of this woman Egwene or with not being able to touch the cup and just condense that into like a YouTube video rather than taking place over I don't know like three episodes or whatever, just condense that and put it on YouTube, it would kill. It was so interesting what was going on with her.
It was so good. It was
it was so good. And she felt like she's powerless. And to me, I'm watching this. I have no idea what's going to go on here. I don't know what the ending result is. And it's like, you know what? I think they're going to convert her. I think she's not going to have a choice here.
Well, but then they had the girl next door who was a full-blown Aes Sedai. This girl is just an
yeah, like higher level than what she is.
Yeah, she was a sitter of the Blue Aja. So she was like, sitters are like kind of the people right underneath the Amyrlin seat and full of power. Like the sitters are the people who like kind of like have like meetings with the Amyrlin seat. They kind of like help make the rules of the White Tower. You know, like they're big deals being a sitter.
Yeah.
So
yes.
like
I mean,
this was a sitter, and the sitter was like, yeah, you held out longer than me, girl.
Way longer. Yeah. So for the people who didn't watch this and are just listening, the what we're harping on here is that Egwene here gets like captured.
She gets a collar put on her by the Shan Chan, and the woman who holds her collar. Yeah, she's got complete domination over her. She cannot touch anything and believe it's a weapon to use against her, otherwise she'll get hurt. She can also, the woman who holds the leash can also just hurt her just by thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know what the hurt is. It just like collar just makes it seem like she gets like shaken around because there's no VFX, but I would assume it like I don't know, it like rattles your inside. It's super uncomfortable and it hurts.
Like pain, you know. It's just
yeah.
You know,
she starts getting like beat up pretty bad.
It's one of those James Bond things where it's just random pain. It just hurts. You know, they turn up the dial and it's just pain. You know, that's
it's that kind of thing. So every time she's going to like reach for this, she's saying like the domination woman says like pour me a glass of water, and she puts a cup in the middle of this like jail cell, and every time she goes to touch it, she has to believe in her soul that she's not going to use it as a weapon, and every time if she doesn't believe, she'll get pain brought upon her. So eventually, after she's getting tortured by this day after day it's an undescript amount of time in the show, it could be weeks, she eventually is able to pick up this cup, telling herself like she truly believes she's not going to hurt this person anymore, and pours this woman a glass of water, and then immediately she just like pours it on the ground. She's like, do it again.
Yeah,
I was like, man, she's getting destroyed here. I was like, this would suck. I'd rather die.
That's the thing. I mean, it's awful. It is a fate worse than death. Basically, you're just a slave to
You're
this
forced to
person.
like change it. You're forced to change your mind. It's not just like, hey, I changed my mind. I'm a good guy now. It's like, no, you have to believe that you've changed your mind.
You have to believe it in your soul, and that's the thing. I mean, I mean, overall, this show is way more watchable. This season had way more emotional things, like the thing with Egwene being collared, and Nineveh going through the arches. I mean, it just hit so much harder this season than it did last season, and it also hit harder emotionally than House of the Dragon 1 and 2, and
Oh,
um,
definitely.
I mean, like
Yeah.
this has soul, and I think because you saw this in this show, you're like, wow, the source material must be so good. If
Well,
like,
yeah, it's like there's got it's like you
with
can
the
pick out
show,
nuggets.
with the show
Just like
so mid that like that some of the goodness is still coming through, even with the terrible, terrible translation. Like the
yeah,
book is so good, and
like the
I
show.
encourage anyone who's remotely interested in this show. If you thought the show was okay, like Brian, you should read the books or listen to them on audiobook, because it is 100% worth it. It's one of the best fantasy series of all time, and I love
Well,
it.
this is what the show's making me want to do. Stop watching the show and then just forget about it and then just read the books and screw the show. That's where I'm like that's where I'm debating as like am I going to keep like this show's going to get canceled. I think it's going to get canceled. I think they greenlit season 2 and season 3 at the same time. So we might get a season 3, but I'm really going to be surprised if they make it past season 3. I can't imagine what the viewership is on this. I know we complain about Rings of Power being a trash show, which it is a trash show. But season 1 of Wheel of Time had about 8 million viewers per episode. Even after all the Ring of Power stuff happened, that show's still averaging 55 million viewers an episode in season 2. This show they won't even show how many viewers it's getting, so it's probably less than what it was in season 1. I don't know what the cutoff's going to be, but it's not looking good for the show. That's what I'll say here, based on just what we can see.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately not looking good for longevity. I mean, I want this show to go on. I
It
want
would
to
have to be
see.
a very long show for it to. I mean, what what they should have
They
done.
need more than 8 episodes. They need
This
at
is
least 10.
yeah. You need more episodes, but what they really need. I'm not saying this is easy to do or anything, but they needed season 1, maybe season 2 to be like a 10 out of 10 season to like really bring in people, and then they could, unfortunately, this is what a business would do. They could then start cutting quality once people are invested, because once you're invested, you're just going to keep watching it. This show starts off weak, and if it's going to get stronger as it goes, that's just not it's not going to work.
Well, that's the problem. Season 1 should have been a 10 out of 10, but they wasted so much time in season 1 on characters that don't matter. They didn't explain the lore. They didn't explain the one power. They didn't explain enough.
Yeah, I've watched it, and I still don't really know what's going on.
You were completely lost. And the thing is, for me, I still hold the most Wheel of Timey season 1 felt was when they're on the horseback and they're talking about that old ancient legend. They sing that song about it. That was like the one scene that felt super Wheel of Timey for me, and like the rest of season 1 was like, eh. I mean, like, it was fine. It wasn't great. It had some really bad episodes when they didn't focus on any of the main characters. But like season
Yeah.
2 hits way harder. We got the horn being blown. The new guy playing Matt. Oh, he's so good.
Well,
He
the guy that plays the horn. Okay, we gotta explain. You gotta explain. I know what you're talking
the
about,
guy
but
that
what was
plays
the
the guy
significance of
that
that?
plays Matt. It's a different
I know it's.
actor.
I know
But
the original actor he had some type of mental health issues and he couldn't keep going with the show. That's fine. It is what it is.
I
But
like the
the
new
new guy's
actor.
fine. Yeah,
The
the new
new
guy's
guy's
fine. I'm not. Yeah, there's not. But what's up with is the horn? Because there was a guy who blew the horn.
that is Matt.
Yeah, but what's the significance of blowing the horn? What does that do?
The horn brings back the
It just brings
heroes.
in.
It
Oh,
brings
those are okay.
those are heroes of the past. So
Gotcha.
Uno, the guy that died in episode 2 or whatever, when they first meet the Shan Shan, and they put he didn't know swear the oath, and they put his mouth through
Oh
the
yeah, yep,
big
yep,
horn.
yep, and right through the pike.
Well, Uno doesn't die, I think, until like the end. I don't even know if he dies at all. But they killed him, and then they made him a hero of the horn. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I guess
Oh,
that means he'll still be in the show. I guess, kind of, because the horn gets blown multiple times. I feel like they definitely didn't capitalize on one of the characters from the horn. because one of the characters is Brigitte Silverbow, and she actually becomes Elaine's warder.
Gotcha.
Because she gets hurt in the world of dreams, and Elaine bonds her as a warder to keep her alive.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's the first female warder, forever.
Wait, this one's Elaine, right? This one's Elaine, or is it the other one?
That's Egwene.
Elaine is the one that keeps going in and coming out.
Elaine gets shot in the leg with the arrow in the last episode.
I'm there with you. These names. Oh man.
So I was really disappointed that they didn't give maybe they just haven't cast Brigitte Silverbow yet. Season 1, we had the little girl. She had a Brigitte Silverbow doll. She's like a hero. It's like one of the legends. I'm sad they didn't bring back Tom Merlin, the singer from season 1. He doesn't die. He's in all the sea. I hope they didn't kill him because he's a main character.
Well, no, the main character is not really in season 2. She's in season 1 a lot, but not season 2. She's still going to be the main character into season 3.
No, she's not the main character.
Moraine is going to be the main character for the entire show.
They can't. She's literally gone for half the series. She just disappears.
Well, she's coming back stronger than ever. She had her whole moment at the end of season 2, man. She came back and did a bunch of weaving and stuff, and
she made some
she's
fire
back,
dragons.
She's back stronger than ever, and she's gonna be in season 3, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm memeing a little bit, but I actually think that's probably what they're gonna do. She's not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, she's not supposed to be gone to book 5 or 6. I can't remember which one it is.
Sure,
it's been a long time, but she's literally gone for half the books.
She's the main character though. She's the one getting the most money. She's on all the posters. She's in all the promotional stuff.
They really
they should make Rand onto the. Rand feels like he's the actual guy.
Rand is the main character. He's the hero, so of course he's the main character. Lan is a bigger character than Moraine because Lan is in all the books basically.
Well, Moraine's
the
one they got.
Lan is the one they should have cast as the bigger name actor because he's in all of them, where she isn't.
Gotcha. Was this season well received by other people? Do you know? I feel like it can't be. I feel like it's everybody's just like, it is what it is.
I don't know. I didn't watch a lot. I watched Daniel Green talk about it. I think he also gave it a 7 or 7.5. I think he also had similar sentiments that he thought it was closer to, it was better than season 1, but still not great.
Okay, so it's everybody kind of has the same sentiment. Then it was it's better, but it's still not good.
Well, but also Daniel Green is a huge Lord of the Rings fan, as am I. I mean, it's just we want Lord of the Rings. I mean, we want Wheel of Time to be the Wheel of Time. We don't want Wheel of Time to be this watered down slop like you're talking about. And
pig trough food.
There are moments of brilliance in this season.
Yeah, there sure are. There absolutely is.
The moments of brilliance.
That woman got her fingers cut off. Is that? Well, not. She didn't get her fingers cut off. Are those her fingernails? And why is getting those cut off such a big deal? Because it feels like she didn't. Does that cut power away from you? Because they're just fingernails.
Well, it's just a sign of
power.
Yeah, it's just because he also had the long fingernails too. So so basically it's part of their royalty customs or whatever. So she basically had to go into stay in her room until her fingernails grow back.
Okay, well, she's gonna be there a really long time because those fingernails are multiple feet.
Yeah, well, because he's like you should go in your room and think about what you've done, and until you're able to be presented properly. So she
It feels like that. I don't know if I would want those long fingernails. There's a lot of stuff you can't. What if you break one? They're probably so easy to break on accident.
Especially sword fighting, because at the end the guy tries to sword fight Rand, and then Rand just shoots him with all the little fire arrows to the 1 power, which in the book it was an actual sword fight, but we don't see Rand training with the sword at all. We hear him talking about training with the sword.
He's thinking about it. He's putting a lot of thought into fighting with his sword.
And the sad thing is, like, all this time we haven't even really talked about Rand because, like, it's just he's just hanging out with Lanfear, and then like he meets.
Kind of seems like he roams around this season and just kind of like has like bad luck everywhere he goes. Like, he just like shows up somewhere, has a conversation, and he's like, "Damn, that conversation didn't go my way." Then like the next episode, he shows up in another place, like tied to the bed, and he has a conversation. He's like, "Damn, that didn't go my way either." Like, then the next episode, he gets like transported to like the top of a mountain or whatever, and if he's chained up again, he's like, after that conversation, he's like, damn, that didn't go my way either. That's what it seems like. Everywhere he goes, he just has a bad time. Like, he doesn't get hurt or anything. Everywhere he goes, he just is like let down.
Well, he does get hurt. He gets the spear or the the dagger stabbed into him at the end, and so that dagger wound never heals.
Well, I mean, he can't die.
I'm
not gonna kill him.
He doesn't die from it, but it's like a wound that like bothers him. Like it's like always mentioned in the books, where he actually gets two separate wounds that are like from tainted objects, like that just are basic. He's just constantly in pain. Every single time they're talking about it was like he's just always in pain, always angry. His hands get branded by the Heron sword.
He just has a bad time until he doesn't have a bad time anymore.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, they say he's gonna go mad because he's got the one power. He's probably gonna go mad because he just has like all this pain all the time.
He just has a low. He's having mental health issues. That's what's gonna make him go crazy.
All the crap that happens to him.
Yeah, all the garbage that happens to him.
Like all the mental trauma, all the physical trauma.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just as much dangerous to make him go insane. Wheel of Time. I'm excited for the next season. I really hope it's trending better.
Excited?
So far, it is trending better. Season 1 was that. Season 2 is better. I really hope I can give Season 3 a solid 8 or 8.5. I'm hoping it'll keep going better. I just don't want to give this season any higher because it's still a really bad adaptation. But
if I had to guess, I gave it higher than what I did last time.
But after House of the Dragon and after Rings of Power Season 2, this was a breath of fresh air watching this again. This at least had emotional stakes. I cared. I was invested. Whereas I didn't give a crap about anything in either of those shows.
I still like House of the Dragon Season 2 more than I like this show. I think it's a better show still. Rings of Power is trash. This show's way better than Rings of Power, but most things are better than Rings of Power. In terms of VFX though, Rings of Power destroys this show.
Well, Rings of Power destroys everything. Its VFX are so good.
Yeah, it's the best looking show ever.
But the show is just trash. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. So Season 3 will be out in 3 years.
Probably because they
they got to add a year every time between each season. They got to add an additional year.
Pretty much.
I don't know why every show. I mean, there's probably a lot more red tape. There's got to be a lot more red tape than what there used to be because it's like, this is completely. We're kind of closing out here, but like I will say the Stranger Things guy. His name, what's the dark-haired main character, Stranger Things?
His name is Stranger Things guy, I think.
Yeah, Stranger Things guy. The main character in Stranger Things that his girlfriend's 11. I don't know, whatever his name was.
I think he's 12.
Yeah, he might be 12 at this point. But I saw an interview with him. This is leading somewhere, I promise. I saw an interview with him saying that they're working very hard. They're working way harder than what they used to be because historically, not just right now, because each new episode of Stranger Things is like 2 hours.
Ooh.
And there's gonna be like 6 or 7 episodes or whatever. So it's like you put it all together and it ends up being like a 10 to 15 hour show. And he was saying it's like, oh yeah, we're working way harder than anybody ever used to do this. And then I thought to myself, shows used to come. There used to be like 24 episodes in a season, and they would be every single year.
Yep.
Shows nowadays are like you get 8 episodes, and they're about an hour, and so that's 8 hours of time. I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that they're shooting and stuff, but then there's like a 3-year break, a 2-year break, and then you get another 8 episodes. I can't imagine the actors themselves are working harder than what they used to. 30 years ago or whatever.
They're absolutely not.
I just don't think they are. I mean, I think the work that they're doing may be harder, but the amount of work that they're doing has to be less.
Absolutely, it's less. Because I mean, just think about it.
I'm not throwing smoke. I'm just saying. I'm just from an outside view. That's what I see.
You're absolutely right. Like for Star Trek, anyone who wore a lot of makeup, like Worf or Romulans or other Klingons, they had to start at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like they had to come in like at 5 or 6 in the morning, maybe earlier, so they could be there 4 hours before everyone else, so they could get the makeup applied, so they could start working at the same time as everyone else.
Yeah, and they were probably filming or working most of the year. I would imagine it was probably most of the year they were working, because if they're pumping out 25 episodes, 25 like 45-minute episodes every single year, you're kind of have to do that full time every day type of thing. I can't imagine, like, this Stranger Things show that comes out, the last season came out like 4 years ago at this point. I don't know when it came out. And there's no even horizon of when the next season's going to come out yet. We don't know.
I don't understand.
The only time I'll give... I know there's a lot of red tape for, there's a lot more rules and regulations, I'm sure, that you have to follow, that you didn't have to follow anymore. But the only thing that I really still will give credit to is animation stuff. Animation stuff takes a significant amount of time to do. But other than that, I don't understand how it's like a...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I
don't understand how it's like 3 years in between seasons now. I don't know how that happened. And it's less content overall.
Well,
I don't know if it's VFX or what.
With animation, I understand it, but the thing is, they haven't even finished shooting the next Stranger Things season. It's not shooting. It's.
Yeah, I know. What is going? So when he said like, "Oh, he's working harder than ever," it's like, what does that mean? The episodes are long, but like overall, it's still less content.
Yeah, I don't know. He's also.
I don't know.
He's also a kid, so he doesn't know.
He's not a kid anymore.
I mean, compared to us, he's still a kid.
I think he's in his 20s.
Yeah, but comparatively,
yeah. I mean, but that's not like when he first started. He
is not an actual child, but to you and me, he is basically a kid. That's what I'm. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying he's physically a child anymore.
No, but like he's been working long enough where he should like understand. It's like, hey man, like this is just kind of how it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
He hasn't got to our age yet to understand what that means.
or bothered to do any research.
I'm sorry, Stranger Things guy. I don't remember your name, but like every interview I've seen with you, you seem like a cool guy. I don't mean to like cause any trouble. I just I like your show a lot, and I think you're really cool. It's just I think that's a bad take, but I also don't work in the industry, so if I'm wrong, I don't know. Correct me.
You're not wrong. I mean, like you said, in the 80s and 90s, 24 episode shows, 24, and with anyone who had extensive makeup work, they had to work like 20-hour days. I mean, they basically had hours beforehand, work 12 hours, hours afterhand to remove the makeup, then go sleep for a couple hours and do it all over again. Like, amazing.
Yeah. So, and you could say times are different or whatever, but like those the older shows like that are still loved by people, so why don't you just do that now? I'm sure I know that's a loaded statement there, but like I might be gaslighting people at this point.
Well, the thing is, it's just the writing is just not where it's at anymore. I mean, they could do these things.
That's definitely true.
They could do these things because they had better writers. Ronald D. Moore is an amazing writer. He wrote some great episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. He wasn't on Voyager very long, and some of the episodes of Battlestar Galactica he wrote were also very excellent. So I mean,
that's I think that's our Wheel of Time.
Yep.
Season 2 thoughts. I can't imagine. I'd be shocked if anybody watched season 2 and is listening to this. If anybody's listening to this, I highly doubt they watched season 2. So that's why I was trying to be a little bit more thorough. What's going on? I'm sure we jumped all over the place as normal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Did you watch? Did anybody listening watch season 2? Do you have any suggestions of what we should watch? Because we've been late to the party on most of the shows we've been watching or we've been talking about. So if you have anything that
we could be even later too, let us know.
Yeah, we could be even later if you want us to go back. David watches watches the YouTube channel, and he'll tell me if something happens.
Sometimes, yeah.
So we can figure it out. But yeah, that's Wheel of Time season 2. I don't know. If you watch season 1, I honestly, I would say don't watch season 2. Just go read the books. I think at this point, I haven't read the books, but like that's my take.
100% read the books. The books are so much
Don't watch
better.
the show. Read the books.
Read the books.
I have no context to prove you why you should read the books, but I just feel it just feels right to say that.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, the books are so much better. I would highly encourage you to read or listen to the Wheel of Time, because that way you'll get the story, uncorrupted, because it is very
Yes.
corrupt by Rafe Judkins. So anyway, guys.
Uncorrupted. Well, email David at synthaholics@yahoo.com. I've
Awesome.
been Brian, not Buleg.
And I've been David, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye bye.